Good morning, everyone. I am Tracy with Sonoma County Vintners and happy to have you here today. We are hosting our fabulous new affiliate member, WineIng. I have Moshe with us today, and he's going to walk you through this fabulous platform of collective buying. So I'm just going to hand it over to Moshe. We will take questions at the end. And I just look forward to hearing more about this great platform that you have created.
Thank you, Tracy. Hello, everybody. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here, pleasure to take part in the Sonoma County Vintners organization. We're a proud member, and thank you for giving me the stage. I'd be happy to take questions once I'm finished, if that's okay by everyone. But I will start by saying that should any of what I'm about to say be of interest, I will spend the next 2.5 weeks on the West Coast. I will be in Oregon, but then spending 10 days in California. So I'll be happy to also meet if possible and follow up with any of you in person. I want to also thank the fact that you're here and not harvesting, which is appreciated. Yeah, let's go right ahead. A bit about what we're going to talk about. I'm going to give a brief intro about myself, the company, what's the issue with wine club registrations, why are they declining, and how is it related to the younger generation, and how does the concept that we are banking on, which is collaborative buying, solves those challenges, mainly around the issue of the declining number of case buyers, the fact that people don't want to buy a case, but also don't necessarily want to commit to a club long term. These are dilemmas that our platform, we believe, is solving. We're going to go through at least one actual use case that we've done recently in Napa, by the way, although we have Sonoma County wineries as customers already, just to give you an example of in which circumstances do we excel, and also how easy it is and how simple it is to implement collaborative buying without necessarily making it a big deal or complicated in terms of the infrastructures and the products that you already use. So a bit about us. So we are two co-founders. My co-founder is Dutch, based in the Netherlands. I myself have been in enterprise software for more than 20 years, but I'm also a WSET Level 3 graduate, and I'm a certified sommelier. So what we created here is the result of a lot of consumer-related challenges that I found as a heavy wine drinker. So just a bit about the challenges of DTC, specifically in the US, maybe even more specific in California, but also general challenges. So I don't know how many of you know, but the documented statistic of people that are not case buyers is that somewhere between 80 to 85% of people do not buy by the case. The actual number is somewhere between 1 to 5, which says a lot about your ability to sell in cases. It doesn't mean it's not possible, but it does mean that you're missing a lot on those that are not case buyers. Also, something linked to the actual purchase, we see, and I hope you don't see it, but I assume you see it, a decline in club signups, and also most club signups are of an age that is relatively high, over 55, even closer to 60. There's the challenge of the younger generation. They're not really into, as I mentioned, long-term subscriptions, not into buying the same thing 12 times, and not into the financial engagement of being club member. They just live differently, and they think differently, and they buy differently. And when they buy it in digital contexts that are a bit distant from the current way that wine is being bought today. A very, very recent Silicon Valley Bank report, literally from a few days ago, also estimated that most wine club memberships are originating by a visit to the tasting room. I'm sure it's not new to you, but what we will try and prove, and what we see that we are proving, is that you can also get members and more member qualified people from other means that are not necessarily your tasting room, and we will talk about it. A bit about the younger generation dilemmas. We've mentioned it briefly, but this is a very documented issue. Everybody's fighting it. We see that wine is trailing RTDs and spirits in whatever is digital sales. We see canned wine starting to grow, and we see the classic younger generation quotes of not wanting a case, not the long-term commitment, and they want something that is good, live, and immediate, or in other words, insta-shareable moments. Hence, kind of a social media gamified experience, social discovery, something that is flexible. All of that still lives with the very interesting fact that the wine market is still growing. I mean, the growth is there, so it's not that people are drinking less wine. It's just they just buy it differently, and they buy different types of wines as well. So the bottom line of all of this is that if you keep trying to sell wine the same way you've been trying to do historically, you're either you already hit a wall or you're soon to hit a wall. Change needs to happen, and we believe that represents a big opportunity for new digital players, and we hope to be such a player. What do we do? So we invented this term, this concept of the WineIng triangle. We take circumstances, they could be digital or physical, where a winery has an audience, again, digital or physical. That audience has a high intent to buy, and a good deal is offered to that audience. Those circumstances are circumstances that wineries already have today. Those gatherings of people in the context of wine. That happens in the tasting room, that happens in any winery visit, it happens at festivals, it happens at off-site dinners or tastings at tasting rooms all over. And it also happens when wineries go out and do tastings at members' houses or any other circumstances that has people brought together to drink wine. Our concept, and I will explain it in a second, takes advantage of that gathering, that high intent, and the good deals that are offered in that circumstance, and simply converts better. Why? Because it takes your quantity sales, your quantity offers, excuse me, and instead of limiting to one person, they're making them collaborable. And I will explain why. These are just the use cases that I mentioned before. So we're talking tasting rooms, workshops on the physical aspect, but there are also digital contexts of gatherings. So sending out a mail to your mailing list or to your club members is the digital gatherings. But there are other gatherings which could be leveraged by wineries, either sales into corporates or dinner events, or also B2B sales to restaurants and retailers. Those circumstances are gatherings, and you need to leverage them better than the way you're doing it today. I'm gonna move from this screen to my to a demo because I want to give you a quick demo of the platform. Hold on while I browse. All right. So wining is not it's not the Groupon of wine. It's not a marketplace. It's not a website where a lot of wineries offer their goods. No, wining is a tool. It's a digital platform. Then that when a winery or any other seller wants to use us, once they go through a very easy onboarding process, which basically involves uploading the products that they want to sell, they get from us a dedicated URL, which is basically a ready-to-use e-commerce platform that is solely theirs and solely for that specific sale. Think of it, I mean, people have called us kind of the Airbnb of wine. It's an e-commerce ready platform for you to use wherever you want to and whenever you want to, for how long you want to. And once the sale, which you decide its timelines, is completed, that URL will not be valid anymore. So if, for example, and you will see after my demo, you would like to try a collaborative sale to 3 groups that are about to visit your winery a certain day, you will get 3 different URLs, and each will be a URL that is dedicated to each sale. Something important. Since I mentioned we're not a marketplace, we're not an open website, we're a functionality. We are not responsible for generating the traffic. Okay, we are responsible, and we do claim, to convert better on traffic that you already have at those gatherings that I mentioned. Again, either at the winery, on your mailing list, club members, or any other type of event, physical or digital. You have the audience. Try to sell to it collaboratively. What you're doing right now is trying to sell to it individually. And that's what we're changing. So back to my example. When a winery wants to use us, it goes through a very easy onboarding process, and then it gets from us a URL. That URL could be shared over newsletters, over SMS, or over a QR code at the tasting room if it's a physical event. People click the link or the QR code, and they reach the example that you're looking at right now. Okay, so there's a pop-up which could be fully customized, and once people get in, they basically see the sale. So something to mention here, the bottles here, the prices are merely examples. Don't pay attention to it. It's just to basically let you know how the platform works. So let's take the example of this Sauvignon Blanc on the left. So what you see here is something that the winery decided to offer. It is an offer for a case, meaning 12 bottles of a Sauvignon Blanc, but there's a discount associated to that case. So if 12 bottles are purchased of that bottle, the discount applies, and the discount is here at the top. Usually, there are 2 things that are an incentive for collaborative buy. It could be a discount, but it could also be a limited edition of something, like an old vintage, library wines, magnums, etc. So that rule of 12 bottles minimum for discount was applied to all of the bottles here. There are 6. So if I'm a user, what I do is I just basically mix and match what I want to pledge for. So I can pledge for 1 Sauvignon Blanc, and then for 2 of this white blend, and maybe this Italian cab. Once I'm done with my pledging, I go to the checkout page, and there are details here to be put. Personal details, shipping details, and payment details, but there's no charging at this point. The charging happens only at the end of the sale, should the products that the person pledged for reach their targets. And if the target isn't reached, there's no charge. Let's assume I filled in all of my details. Once I go back, the other people with me, they will see my pledges on these, as the bottles here will get colored. It's like a progress bar. And that's precisely what takes the collaborative aspect and make people understand that they're not alone, and there's something brewing here, and that something is growing, and there's something to do and collaborate to reach a certain goal. What we're doing here is basically creating a virtual community of users that have a common goal, a limited amount of time, and a good deal offered to them. And from that point on, the psychology of e-commerce takes over. And when these circumstances are physical, and the live example that we did was physical, people start talking to each other, playing with each other, engaging with each other, asking each other to collaborate. Oh, we're missing one wine on our deal. Do you want to join this deal? Etc., etc. So it's a really fun and gamified experience. Moreover, a very simple, maybe even stupid feature that we have that has proved to be very effective is the share button. So think of a scenario where you're at such a tasting and there's a wine there that you know your father, your best friend, your fiance, whoever would love, but they're not there. You can very easily share it with him and encourage him to participate as well for everybody's interests. And then to some extent, the buyer becomes a promoter. That's it. That's the concept, and it's not rocket science. It's merely taking advantage of circumstances that we believe you as a winery, you already have, but because your e-commerce part, the end of the funnel, the part where the person needs to decide whether he buys, what he buys, and how much, that process is individual. And we're turning it into a collaborative process. It seems like everything about wine is collaborative, except the buying part. And that's what we're changing. I'm going to stop this share and go back to my presentation. And I will be happy to take questions afterwards for the demo. So just to summarize our value, the value is that we see, at least in the 80 plus or 90 plus sales that we've already made, we see that in the same circumstances where an individual e-commerce concept has been applied, we see that we generate more money. We generate a higher turnover. How? Through this gamified, engaging kind of sales process, also that is very similar to what the younger generation is doing in other parts of their lives, like social media and games. Second, how do we generate more turnover? Is that this is basically a pop-up tool. You can use it whenever you want, wherever you want. I know wineries have this, sometimes these ambassador programs where they have ambassadors going around spreading the brand awareness to their wine. Give them a tool to also leverage those circumstances to sell. Use your winery dinners outside of the winery to sell, not just to hope someone will register to your club. You're making it difficult on yourself by limiting it, these off winery events, only for marketing and club member registrations. Sell first. Second, the value comes with data collection. Okay, all of the data that is accumulated during a sale, whether it reached its goal or not, is yours. It's the wineries. Because we are not a website or a marketplace, we have absolutely no interest in keeping the data. All of the data that we collect of anyone who has pledged will be yours. Name, mobile number, email, where they live. That's a qualified lead, which sometimes in the normal way of people entering a tasting room, sometimes it's lost. And that's value that is being lost. And last, the digital enablement. You literally don't need anything to use WineIng. You just, well, you contact us, you go through a very easy onboarding, and you can use it wherever and whenever you want. A bit about what we've done so far. So we've already a revenue generating platform. Our model right now is that at least the first time that you will try to sell with WineIng would be for free. After the first time, most probably a commission-based business model. Mid to long term, maybe even a subscription-based. So wineries won't be limited in the amounts of time that they use WineIng. What we've seen in our completed sales is that we have somewhere between 25 to 40% of a higher turnover than in the exact same use cases, but without a collaborative tool. And second, a very high conversion rate. So today, if you know anything about e-commerce and you have an e-commerce site, if you have somewhere between 2 to 3% of a conversion rate, you're probably doing something good. So our average conversion rate is around 15%. That's very, very high. Why? Because of how we do it. We get people to collaborate when they're offered a good deal. It's very simple. We already have 15 wineries. Most of them actually are in Sonoma. I'm happy to share some of the names. I think I have a slide on it as well, that have already used us at least once, if not more, in many different use cases. As I mentioned, I will give an example of at least one of them. Something that's very interesting and coming up is that we're taking part in Come Over October, if you know it. So it's a movement that is supporting smart and fun collaborative consumption of wine, and we've partnered with them to offer WineIng to the wineries or retailers that are taking part in the movement, to not only offer people to drink together, but also to buy together. And we actually have already, I think, 10 wineries specifically from Sonoma that are taking part in this Come Over October sales. Sorry. A bit about the traction around us. You can look it up yourself, but we've been, I hope, in a positive way, making some noise. Podcasts, researches, Mining Beer Report, LinkedIn, etc. The industry, I don't have to tell you, is looking for new players, new ways of doing things, and we do something different. This is a very good example of a use case we had literally a month and a half ago, I think, or a month ago in Napa. We were approached by Eller's Estate, specifically by their marketing and DTC persons. They told us that on average, between 2 to 4 times a month, they go out of the winery to do either dinners or tastings of any kind. And those tastings, as I mentioned before, are tastings that are usually used for either just marketing, giving the club member, in the example that we did, a good treat because the tasting is done at a club member's home. And third, but most importantly, try to generate more club members. And they literally had very, very low success in the past year or two of doing that. And the marketing lady wanted to see if those events could be leveraged for sales, if they're not being successfully leveraged for any other purpose. And we did such events 3 nights in a row. So there was a person from the winery at 3 club members' houses who invited somewhere between 15 to 20 people in each event. And those were mostly non-members. The house was of a member. He was the one hosting it, but the attendees were not. And there were wines offered at these events via WineIng. There was a discount associated with a minimum of, I think, 24 bottles. And those were 3 consecutive successes, okay? In 1.5 hours of event, they sold on average about $4,000 worth of wine, just over 75 bottles each evening. And not only were they able to give the people a great experience and a good price, but they weren't trying to push a subscription to them. However, the data of those people who are already buyers is now with the winery's hand, in the winery's hand, to follow up with and possibly propose a membership. So that was something that was quite successful. Well, some of the names that are already using us both in California, but also in Europe, and also joint tasting rooms are working with the Grand Cru in Healdsburg, which is a great place to gather wineries for their tastings. And WineIng is a classic tool for such events. What we've learned so far is that obviously there's a DTC challenge, especially around with the younger generation and the younger audience, how to address them, how to reach them, how to make them buy more. We see that, I mean, no question, the gamification elements, they generate engagement, which automatically generates sales. And also the power of off-prem collaborations, like those dinners and like those other types of out of the tasting room events, which now could be leveraged for sales. There are a lot of gatherings out there that could be leveraged for sales that are not being attended to enough right now. 3 disclaimers. I mentioned already one. We do not generate new traffic for the winery, at least not directly, because remember, we are enabling the people to share the deals with people that are not at the tasting and exposed to the deal. But we do not generate new traffic. We are converting better on traffic that the winery already has. Right now, the tool is being used as a standalone tool, meaning we do not have, not now, but it will change in November, come November, when we will have an integration both with Commerce 7 and Shopify. That means that the platform is kind of a standalone tool that each winery can use very, very easily. And last, which is a question we always get, and possibly you already have it in your minds, it's the shipping and the fulfillment. We do not touch the product. We are just a software. We apply the shipping rules of the winery to our sale. So that could be pickup if you're at the winery. It could be a flat fee. It could be a free shipping if either you reach a certain amount in your cart or a certain amount of bottles, or you could apply a certain cost per amount of bottles, per 3, per 6, per 12, whatever. We apply the shipping rules to each sale that you want to generate. Conclusion, the concept is new, it's modern, it's very consumer oriented to really change and boost your D2C strategy. All of our use cases, or at least 90% of them, if they're built properly, drive more revenue, more engagement, and more data collection and customer acquisition. The platform is very, very easy to use and do a sale with. There's really nothing to lose, at least in trying it once. I mentioned it. I'm in Sonoma and in Napa over the next 2 weeks, starting from the 11th of September. I'm going to be in Oregon first, but very happy to come by and meet any interested winery, give a demo, and explore a use case. There's no need to do big sales at once. Very easy, simple use cases could be set up either at the tasting room or even a social flash sale to your social media. But no need to offer a lot of products. 3 to 6 SKUs is fine. And the tool also, enables you to compensate or to encourage people to share the deals. You can give incentives for those who share. You could already give existing ambassadors the ability to use the platform. It's very easy, very simple, and nothing really to lose. That's it. You can jump on our website to see a bit more about what we do, perhaps more about the press that we've gotten and documentation, and obviously contact me directly through this email. I'm going to be sharing with Tracy this deck, so you could also have a look at it again or spread it. And I think we can open up to questions if there are any. I saw some chats which I didn't read, Tracy, but I'll let you take the lead.
Sure. Thank you for that presentation. I think the collaborative buying is a really forward-thinking idea. Like you mentioned, Moshe, that we all drink together, so why not buy together? And having that sharing option makes it fun and it's innovative. It's similar to a reverse auction, right? You get excited about what you're buying and it's a collective on who else wants this product, except you get a discount at the end rather than paying more. So I think it's a really great new tool that wineries can implement. And I hope that somebody has questions that's on here. The question from Cindy Nelson, have you had luxury high-end brands, particular, how do higher price bottles fare in this context with a discounted bottle?
Mm-hmm. Well, I wouldn't. I don't know how to qualify Ellers. I don't think it's a luxury brand,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not your. I mean, I think the average was 50, 60, maybe even $70 bottle, so that doesn't qualify as luxury, but it's not
Sure.
low otherwise. I know that the discount issue is also a branding issue that people sometimes are afraid of. But as I said, there's this instinctive link to collaborative sale and discount. The incentive does not need to be a discount. So you could offer a discount, which is great, and you could also offer a discount not for a case. You could offer it for 3 cases, but you would not limit it to one person buying those 3 cases. So you
Mm-hmm.
could do that. However, with luxury brands who are a bit, not even luxury brands, even other brands who are a bit concerned with what the concept of constantly discounting does to them, they don't need to use a discount. Uh, they could use a limited edition of something, uh, which is also an incentive to drive people to collaborate and create this FOMO kind of effect.
Mm-hmm.
We've had that with older vintages wine that are not available on the market. Uh, so the use case I gave was for non-members, but for members who I know already have discounts, that could work. I mean, offering certain bottles which may not be offered on a day-to-day basis, even not to members, in totally different use cases, which I don't believe are relevant to wineries. But in Europe, we've had importers um, use WineIng to pre-sell pallets of wines before they even bought it from the winery. So we've had Dutch importers importing pallets of wines from Piedmont or from Tuscany, but not actually buying the wine themselves before they reach their target. So it was really great for everybody because the people really felt they're part of their own import, which had some discounted incentive, but we've also had, between countries, even in Europe, some countries have allocations to premium wines because wineries tend to keep the premium and the rare wines to themselves. So they had allocations. So there was a FOMO there, which wasn't necessarily linked to a discount. And people collaborated, and it went great. We do have a winery in Sonoma, actually. I won't mention the name, which used us in standard use cases, but are now using us to sell to retailers and restaurants in the big Californian cities. Why? They didn't do it before because, first of all, their brand wasn't known, and second of all, they didn't want to drive to San Francisco or Los Angeles or Sacramento, whatever, for one case. However, they were very interested, even if it means selling only one case or two, when they enable a few restaurants to collaborate and buy 4 or 6 bottles each, but together they reach the 1 or 2 case minimum, it was still worth the winery's time to make the drive because what was important to them is not necessarily the quantity, but the fact that they're now on 3 new places wine lists. So there are a lot of use cases. I think the major hurdle is to try the collaborative model. It's just so new and different to wineries that's the main hurdle. But when people try it, 9 times out of 10, and we're here to help qualify the use cases, 9 times out of 10, it just works.
That all makes sense. Is there any other questions from anybody?
There were sound issues, which were fixed. Okay.
Yeah. Well, like Moshe said, he'll be in the area. Please contact him or myself if you have any further questions or want to set up an appointment with him. I'm looking forward to meeting him in a couple weeks. And if there's no questions, I guess we can conclude. Thank you so much for your time today. And again, your innovative platform. I think it's great.
My pleasure. Thank you, Tracy. And I'll send over the deck so you can share it by all means. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye,
guys.
everybody.